United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we honor our service personnel, both here and abroad, both past and present. We also honor our healthcare workers for these last 18 months and continuing. And we also take time to remember our fallen fellow citizens, first responders, and workers 20 years ago on 9/11. Okay, please remain. You can be seated. All right, first item on the agenda, we have a hearing on a 61A for 179 Jordan Road. I'm going to open up the hearing. I'll just use my scissors. I hope you heard that. All right, hearing's open. Okay, Anthony, I believe you're here for that. I believe Dexter's here for that. Who's here for Jordan Road? Else. Susan Sargent. And anybody representing the owners? Okay, Anthony, you have it. Unmute yourself, please.
Okay, so we received a proper notice of an intent to remove the property or the majority of the property, part of the property where the house lot is was not a 61A, but to remove the remainder from 61A. And we have 120 days to either exercise that right or assign it to a nonprofit. So we've spoken to Dexter Mead of DNRT, and they are interested. I'll let him speak on that. But the select board, it's on tonight for the select board to consider whether or not to vote to make an assignment of our right of first refusal to DNRT. If we do, then they have to use 70% of the parcel that we purchased for a chapter purpose, whether it's chapter 61, 61A, or 61B. And again, I'll let Mr. Mead speak on their intent on that. But I think certainly a great option when the legislature added that provision to the chapter 61 and 61A, allowing us to rely upon a third party nonprofit to step in and preserve the property.
Mr. Mead, you want to speak?
Yes, sure. Hi, this is Dexter Mead, Executive Director of DNRT. And as DNRT indicated to the Select Board in a letter a couple of weeks ago, we're definitely interested in accepting the right of first refusal on this property. It has over 8 acres of agricultural fields, and 100% of those fields are designated by the Natural Resource Conservation Service as being prime farmland soils, which are the best soils for agriculture. It also has about 6.5 acres of woodland on the property, all of which is designated as priority habitat for a state protected rare species by the Massachusetts Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program. Moreover, it has currently 980 feet of frontage on Jordan Road, which is a Town of Dartmouth designated scenic road. And over 50% of the boundary is adjacent to other protected land. DNRT has a couple conservation restrictions across the road. To the north of the property is a conservation restriction held by the Buzzards Bay Coalition that they just did in 2000. And to the east of the property, there's another DNRT conservation restriction, as well as a restriction held by the trustees of reservations. So it's it's a great property to preserve because of the agricultural soils, the endangered species habitat, the contiguosity with other protected land. And we're definitely interested in accepting the right of first refusal.
All right, as this is a hearing, I'm going to ask anyone in the audience who is in favor of this transfer to raise your hand or just kind of speak. Bill Suter? Mr. Suter?
Yes.
Yes. You have the floor.
Well, I live across the street. I'm at 180 Jordan Road. And the idea of that property going into multiple houses, it's just unheard of for this area out here where it's all agricultural land. And I just think that it just doesn't make any sense at all unless we keep it under conservation. Our property here, 12 acres at 180, is conservation land, as well as the Powells to my east. Their land's under conservation, and of course, Ocean View that Dexter just mentioned, that's south of me here on my, off of my property here. So I'm all in favor of keeping it under conservation as an agricultural property out here.
Thank you, Mr. Suter. Anyone else in favor of this? Raise your hand. Susan Sargent. You have to unmute yourself, Susan.
Yeah,
There you go.
no, I mean, I don't have much to say beyond what Bill said, but I'm totally in favor, and I believe I represent the perspective. I'm also a neighbor on the next road over from Jordan Road, and I believe I represent pretty much all of our neighborhood here who have the agriculture operation that has been going on there for years with Andy Burns and his cows, and it is certifiable organic land. I've done a lot of work with farm conservation. It's really worth saving this time, and I think you have a lot of support for that. And I thank Dexter for stepping up.
Thank you for that, Ms. Sargent. Anthony.
Yeah, I just want to say, I know it probably goes without saying, Dexter, but could you just state for the record that DNRT is ready, willing, and able to accept this assignment?
Yes, DNRT is ready, willing, and able to accept this assignment.
All right. Anyone else in favor of this? Please raise your hand. Is there anyone against this? Please raise your hand.
Mr. Chairman. Hello,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Mr. Farland.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Christian Fallon.
All right, Mr. Farland, just lower your hand because your video can't come on while your hand is being raised. And I think you just, nope, there you go. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Farland.
Yeah, I just want to speak on is the intentions of the selectmen to condition it in which the DNRT can't develop the parcel? Because I was under the impression that the DNRT was looking to develop 2 lots.
Dexter.
Yes, sir. Well, we are required at law to protect at least 70% of the property, and we are most probably going to have to create 1 lot. We are not going to create 2 lots, and yeah. So the maximum we can do is 30% of the property, but we don't plan on developing 30% of the property. We plan on 1 lot on the property, 1 house.
Okay. All right. Does that satisfy your question, Mr. Farland? Mr. Farland?
It does. I just didn't. I thought the purpose was to protect the land. I didn't realize that they were going to be looking to develop another lot out there. I believe Mass General Law does allow that to happen on any parcels, correct, Mr. Mead?
That's correct. That's correct. As long as we protect 70% of it.
Okay. All right.
In fact, if the town exercised its right of first refusal, it wouldn't be limited to any protection. It could use it for school if it wanted to.
Okay, Mr. Gracie, hold on a minute, please. All right, does anybody who is in the audience that is against this transfer? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the hearing and we'll have board discussion. Hearing's closed. Mr. Gracie.
Yeah, I'd just like clarification from Dexter on what is the percentage that one lot would take, so everybody understands how much is actually being preserved.
Dexter's looking. Dexter, you're muted. Dexter, you muted. Can you repeat what you said, please? Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Our plan is to create a 1 acre building envelope. So it'd be 1 acre out of about 15 acres, which I believe is 7%. My calculation is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mickelson.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mead. On any of the properties that DNRT has at its disposal, have you done this before?
We have.
Could you give me?
In my
could you tell me how many?
In my 17 years, we've done it two times previously. And frankly, of course, we wish we wouldn't have to have any development on the property, but it's just there's a financial necessity to make these transactions work.
Understood. Yeah. I understand that. I just wanted the public to know what's happened in the past.
Yeah, we've done it a couple times.
In 2014, we did it. The select board did a similar vote to DNRT for property owned by Barnes on Potomska Road. That was in March of 2014. That's the last time that I think I was involved.
So insignificant amount of times. And I appreciate that, Mr. Mead.
Mr. Chairman, there's 2 comments on the YouTube.
Right, I see one of them here asking to see what the conditions and what does the town charter allow. I'm not sure what the conditions are being asked about, and I don't know.
This is not in the charter.
And it's
This
not
isn't
in the
addressed in the
charter.
charter.
It's generally Mass General Law. So you have to follow specific guidelines from Mass General Law as to the 61A, the transfers, anything to do with this. It's all predicated on Mass General Law, but I'm not sure what the conditions they're asking about. What is the second one? I only see one, or unless
there were 2 from the same person. So
okay,
you got that.
Mr. Tattlebaum.
I just think it's significant that our departments have had overwhelming support across the board for the project, conservation, planning, etc.
Right, and that was one thing I was going to say, that the planning board voted to preserve it, so did the conservation, and so did the agricultural council.
Ag board, right. Thank you.
Okay, all right, members, if the board chooses to set a signed transfer to the DNRT, the motion should read: the town of Dartmouth, acting by and through its select board as authorized by Mass General Law, Chapter 61A, subsection Section 14, hereby assigns, transfers, and sets over unto Dartmouth Natural Resources Trust, Inc., with a principal place of business at 318 Chase Road, Dartmouth, Massachusetts, all its rights, title, and interest in, and to a certain notice of intent to sell land, specifically the Chapter 61A farmland situated at 179 Jordan Road
in Dartmouth, Massachusetts for residential use. The Chapter 61A farmland is a portion of Dartmouth Assessors Map 6, Lot 2, and is shown on the attached map Exhibit A, drawn at a scale of the Town of Dartmouth Assessors Map. Dartmouth Assessors Map 6, Lot 2 consists of a total of 16.71 acres, of which 14.870 acres are classified as Chapter 61A land, and 80,000 square feet, 1.837 acres, where the residents and outbuildings thereon are classified as residential. Do we have a
So
motion?
moved.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by, I heard Mr. Herron.
I have a question.
All right, on the motion, Mr.
Question.
Tattelbaum.
Mr. Mead has indicated that 1 acre was going to be the total of the development. Should we be considering that the comfort of people who think it's maybe overdeveloped, that we limit it to the 1 acre?
If I'm not mistaken, I think that area is zoned 2 acre zoning. If I'm not, I think it's SRB. And it would be 80,000 square feet. Why? That's one parcel. And I think that's where that's what the motion states.
Well, it's just that Mr. Mead indicated 1 acre and now you're saying it's going to be 2 acres.
I think Mr. Mead was mistaken because the zoning is 2 acre zoning, if I'm not mistaken. And Christine O'Grady is here, I believe, or was here.
It is 2 acre zoning, but I think he can limit the development portion of that 2 acres to one
Okay,
acre.
but
correct?
the size of the parcel will be 2, but you can limit the residential to one part of that, correct?
Well, we got to be sure that's correct.
Okay.
Christine's nodding her head, yes.
Christine, all right, I don't see Christine, so.
She's here. She's muted.
I'm sorry. Yes, that is correct. You can have a portion of the lot in question be developable, so the 1 acre can stand. You should just clarify whether or not it's going to be the existing house or whether they're gonna tear that house down and put something else in its place.
No, the existing house is not under 61A. It's the portion that is
so it's similar.
protected. The portion that is protected, the assessor's office has carved out the house lot that's existing. So I think the point here is, ideally, yeah, if we had tons of money to throw around, we would just protect everything. But the DNRT needs the ability to raise some money to get the money to protect this land. And I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mead, but I think that's what you're saying. We'd be one additional house lot.
That's correct.
And Mr. Farland, your hand is raised.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just was hoping that the selectmen can restrict it to one buildable lot, because if you go with the 30%, you'll be able to get more than that. That was my point. And Mr. Mead,
I also think the record should reflect that Mr. Farland was the developer proposed on the purchase and sale agreement, the proposed buyer. Just thought the board should know that as well.
Right. I'm aware of that. I saw the plans and I saw the name Farland on it, so.
Everybody saw that.
I would like to be able to, I'd like the ability to be a little bit flexible in terms of, I know I mentioned a 1 acre building envelope. If, I know there was discussion about, well, it's a 2 acre lot. I guess I'd like not to have the board, be specific in terms of the, the conditions on this.
Yeah, here's the problem is if you restrict it too much and they're not successful in raising that money and selling that lot, then it's all going to be developed. So I think the idea is that DNRT is going to do its very best job to protect as much as possible. But if you tie its hands too much, you might find that you cut off your nose to spite your face.
Okay, I'm going to say this. Since 2010, I have never, or that I can recall, the select board putting a restrictions on anything like this to any title transfer, transfer of rights to DNRT. I think DNRT has shown over the years a very well-balanced approach to preserving land in town and partnership with the town. And I fully trust Dexter, his staff, and the board of the DNIT to do the correct thing. Mr. Tattlebaum.
Yeah, my intention is not to put a restriction because I understand what has to happen here, raising money to offset the high price of the purchases, which is about, but, and it sounds like there's a control here because there's a limit to how much can be developed anyway.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
On the motion, any other questions from the board members? Okay, we're going to have a roll call vote. Mr. Tattlebaum.
Yes.
Mr. Harron.
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson.
Yes.
Mr. Gracie.
Yes.
Chair votes in favor, yes.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, so this, the assignment option needs to be signed by the select board.
Yep.
It can't be stamped, so.
I will be in, I'll try to be in tomorrow. I can't guarantee it. Definitely Wednesday. Remind me, please. I know I have to sign it at least if the other members can come in
Be there at 8
and
o'clock.
sign it, please.
I'll sign.
Be glad to sign it.
Okay.
I'll sign.
Okay. Thank you. That concludes the hearing.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dexter.
Those of you who are interested in this hearing, if you want to stick around, please feel free to. If not, have a great night. One of the things that I do want to take up before we start on the other appointments is we do have the signing of the warrant. I need a motion to sign the warrant and to allow the town administrator to use our stamp for the warrant.
Oh, so moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Harron. On the motion, any questions? Being none. Mr. Tattlebaum.
Yes.
Mr. Harron.
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson.
Yes.
Mr. Gracie.
Yes.
And the chair votes in favor. Okay. 6:32, right on time. Let's see. Let me get to the place where I need to go. 6:32, having 1 day's license for My Brother's Keeper. Mr. I believe we have Josh Smith from My Brother's Keeper. So Josh, can you just let us know what this is for, what's about, and when and how, and give us the details.
Yeah, absolutely. So My Brother's Keeper is a charity at 1015 Reed Road in Dartmouth. This is a fundraising event we held in 2018 and 2019. It's an outdoor event. We have it right at the front of our facility outside. We have a caterer lined up to do past appetizers and another to operate a bar.
Okay, tickets are available at My Brother's Keeper?
Correct.
And the cost of the tickets?
$75.
Okay. All right. Board members have any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Harron. On the motion, any questions? Mr. Tattlebaum?
Yes.
Mr. Harron?
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mr. Gracie?
Yes.
And the chair votes in favor. All right, congratulations. Good luck.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. 6:34, we have a one-day event at the bike run fundraising for the Derek Vassal Memorial Dartmouth High School Scholarship Fund to be held at the Stackhouse.
Mr. Chair, this is an after the fact approval. It was held on September 5th. This was the first meeting that was able to
Okay.
add it to the agenda.
And I believe we've done this in the past. So
We have done this in the
Annual event,
past.
yes.
Question, why did it come in this way?
I'm not sure. I'll follow up and let you know tomorrow. I'll follow up with the staff here.
Okay, all right. Do we have a motion to post approve, I guess?
motion to approve.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Herron, made by Mr. Mickelson. On the motion, any questions? Other than why? Mr. Tattlebaum?
Yes.
Mr. Herron?
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mr. Gracie?
Yes.
Okay. And the chair votes in favor. Passes. Mr. Gracie?
Yeah, I just want to toss up my usual correction on the application. The others tonight were okay. This one does not say amplification system, but they've got a DJ. So whoever watches this has to watch these a little closer, because that's 3 weeks in a row that I've had to make that comment.
All right, I'm sorry. So we have discussed that internally and made a note to check them, but we'll
Okay,
double up on that.
thank you very much.
DJ's got a loud voice, Frank.
Yeah, I just want it to be legal and correct, that's all.
Yep, no, got that. Thank you. 636, we have a new common vic license for a new business in town, Dunkin' Donuts.
Another one. Huh?
Yeah, another one. Mr.
Yeah.
Margian.
God,
Margian,
Never enough.
God bless you, Bob.
All right, so where is it?
465.
Right next to the drive-throughs.
I don't think
It's up
anybody
near
heard
the,
the
it's up
address.
near the medical centers on Fons Corner Road?
Yes, we are located at 465 Fons Corner Road.
Okay. All right, board members have any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Herron. On the motion, any questions? Mr. Tattelbaum,
Yes.
Mr. Herron,
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson,
Yes.
Mr. Gracie,
Yes,
and the chair votes in favor. Good luck.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
638, we have a one-day license for 2 events from the New Bedford Yacht Club. Jack Baglini.
Hello.
All right, let us know. What are you doing? Where and how and who?
So I want to make sure we're in compliance. We already, I think maybe the purpose is to extend the scope of our existing common vic, full liquor license, et cetera, to outdoor in our south lawn. We have a harvest festival on October 16 and a Halloween party for the kiddies on October 23rd. Harvest Festival is more like a German Oktoberfest type of theme. Halloween party is your garden variety Halloween party. We'll be having food and beverage service out in the back lawn. Again, right now we've got the restaurant, the dining, the bar that serves in the dining room, the deck bar, and our west lawn and our porch. But this is outside the scope of that area.
Okay. Let's see. And this is for members only, correct?
Members only. So it's advertised, but advertised only to members.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions on this? Do I have a
Motion
motion?
to approve.
Excuse me. No, skip before we vote.
Mr. Mickelson,
Do
yes.
we need a special permit for this?
I wasn't even confident I needed a special permit, but I wanted.
I'm asking the question, no, sir.
Um,
I don't believe so, no.
No? You sure about that, Anthony?
I apologize because I wasn't here for this. I wasn't paying attention. This is just for the Halloween party?
No, there's 3 or 4 parties or whatever. I think the question is, they're going to be serving alcohol outside the building on the lawn. And
Do that.
we need it.
Do that now, don't you, Mr. Baglini?
Yes, we do. We
Yeah.
have the approvals for the outside deck bar and the west lawn. This is a different lawn. This is a south lawn. Which was
Basically-
yeah.
Basically, you're only moving like 25 feet.
That's correct.
Yes.
I wouldn't
But let's
think
just
so.
do it right, that's all, because we made
Yeah.
everybody else
Right.
that
that's why I'm here.
outside alcohol go through the same process. So,
Right, I don't think so, but I don't want to make a decision off the cuff. I will look at it tomorrow morning and let Sean know.
great.
Let us know. So you can vote on what's in front of you tonight, I guess, right?
Yep.
And then if there's a need, then we can put that on for the next meeting.
Yeah, great.
Well, is that enough time, Mr. Baglini?
When is the next meeting?
I don't know.
27th.
Whatever.
27th, yes.
Oh,
Mr.
of this-
Chairman,
Of this month?
Yes.
Yes, there'll be plenty of time, yeah. These are both in October.
Mr. Chairman, couldn't we do it subject to?
I think we can approve it, and if Attorney Savastano has any issues, it can come back on the 27th. And if there's no issues, then it doesn't have to come back.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, so we
So
have.
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to.
Okay. But you didn't have to. Okay. Motion made subject to by Mr. Herron. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, seconded by Mr. Gracie. On the motion, any questions? Mr. Tattlebaum?
Yes.
Mr. Herron?
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mr. Gracie?
Yes.
Chair votes in favor. All right, good luck.
Thank you.
6:40, we have a change of manager for UMass. I believe this is UMass Serve or, yeah, SMU Serve Inc. Previous manager, Patrick J. Carter. New manager is Michael P. LaGrassa.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, Mike. Seems that we have all the information. The only question I have, I guess, from the new forms don't have that the old forms had. I'm assuming you have done this in the past.
I've done this in the past.
Yes.
No, we've had a change in leadership, and Mr. Carter's no longer there, and this has been transferred over to me from the board of SMUServe.
Okay. So you have been, but have you been a manager before?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was at. That's what I was getting at.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the board?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Herron. On the motion, any questions? Mr. Tattlebaum?
Yes.
Mr. Herron?
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mr. Gracie?
Yes.
Chair votes in favor. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
6:42, Pub 99, change of manager. Going from Lynn Mora Lombard to Linda Bellevaux. Miss Bellevaux.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
All right. So, well, you got some big shoes to fill there.
I know.
Lynn's been with the 99 since it opened up in town.
I know.
So, yeah, good luck with this.
Thank you.
Board members, any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Herron. On the motion, any questions? Being none, Mr. Tattlebaum,
Yes.
Mr. Herron,
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson,
Yes.
Mr. Gracie.
Yes.
Chair votes in favor. Good luck, Miss Belleville.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Takes care of that paper there. Let me get rid of this paper here. All right. That concludes our appointments for the night. New business, planning board, fall town meeting warrant article. I believe this is the the fun way to do floodplaning.
So, Planning Director Christine O'Grady is here to give you an overview of the warrant article in case you have any questions.
So Peter does have the map to share the screen tonight. Basically what it is FEMA had contacted us prior to the last town meeting to have that they had found a problem with one of the map panels as they had given it to us, and as a result have requested that we come back before town meeting and get this rectified. They did notify the property owners in that were impacted by this prior to the last town meeting. Again, this is something with regard to them. So they have since issued, it's called a letter of map determination. It's a LOMAR. And basically it's for panel 0477G. And basically it's a small triangular shaped area on either side of Potters Street from Mason to Roldan Street. That's the area that was inadvertently left out by FEMA. It's now been put back in. So basically the planning board revised the map, and then we also have the items in the article. So we are requesting, we are recommending a change by deleting section 375-27.2A, which had the date of June 1st, 2021, which was the last town meeting when the article was passed. We are replacing that with December 2nd, 2021. And the reason we're doing the December date as opposed to the October town meeting date, it's because the town council has advised me that we should go with the effective date, and that is when this particular panel number is going to become effective according to FEMA. The other items that we are changing in the zoning bylaw are section 375-27.2B. We are deleting that in its entirety and replacing it with an updated list of the panels. And those panels listed are all of the panels in the Dartmouth floodplain district. And then we are also deleting and replacing in its entirety section 375-27.2C, and that just goes over the effective dates for this. The planning board is holding their public hearing on this particular item tonight as well. And I think that's everything that you need to know. Does anyone have questions?
Anybody in the board have any questions regarding this? All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Herron. On the motion, Mr. Tattlebaum.
Is there any conflict? I think I may live in one of these districts. Does that affect my need to vote?
No.
Thank you.
I mean, let's put it this way. All 5 of us live within those districts on that map. So this is not a conflict.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Or if it is, it would require the rule of necessity anyway, so you would be able to vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. On the motion, any questions, any further questions? Okay. Roll call, Mr. Tattlebaum.
Yes.
Mr. Herron?
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mr. Gracie?
Yes.
And the chair votes in favor. Okay, that takes care of that. Next, we have an appointment to the Pathways Committee, Sarah Labasia. Sarah? There you are. Okay.
Sarah.
We have a letter from Sarah regarding the Pathways Committee. She's an avid cyclist and a proponent of walking and active transportation of all sorts. All right. Anything you'd like to say, Sarah? Just before.
I've been attending as a non-voting member of the committee just to make sure it was a good fit. I think it's a good fit. I work well with everybody. Seems like a good active committee, so I'm happy to serve.
Great. Okay, board members have any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson. Let's screw up the people who do the minutes. We'll put second by Mr. Gracie. On the motion, any questions?
You can't cut and paste.
Yeah, really. Okay, Mr. Tattlebaum.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Herron.
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson.
Gladly, yes.
Mr. Gracie.
Yes.
And the chair votes in favor. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes, Sarah. Congratulations.
Okay, the next item, we have an appointment to the Cultural Council. Annie Thompson. Is Mrs. Thompson here?
She is.
Yep. You're under another name there, so you confused us here. All right. Why? Let's put you on the spot. Why? You have to unmute yourself. Down towards the bottom, there's a little thing. There you go.
Okay, am I now? You can have me.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, all right. Well, somebody told me about it. I have a fairly wide experience in the arts. I was at the Boston Conservatory as a professor of theatre and Shakespeare for many, many years. I'm a weaver. I love arts and crafts, and I was looking for a way to try and get more involved in the community. And somebody recommended me, and so I wrote the letter of recommendation, and here I am.
Wonderful. Plus, I just love your voice.
Oh.
I love the way you say conservatory. That's just that's
Well,
wonderful.
it came for free. I see, Timothy Gahul. That's my husband. That's why you couldn't. Yeah, I'm on his computer. It's just
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Wonderful. All right.
Motion
Board
to
members, any
approve.
questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Gracie. On the motion, any questions? Being none, Mr. Tattlebaum,
Gladly, yes.
Mr. Herron,
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson,
Wonderfully, yes.
Mr. Gracie,
Yes.
and the chair votes in favor. Congratulations, and we look forward to your service.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have an appointment to the Ag Commission, sorry. Let's see. Mr. Burns, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be the 6th person with 3 more vacancies on that board. Is Mr. Burns here? Okay, being none, but we do have a letter from the Ag Commissions recommending Mr. Burns for the position. Do I have anybody, motion from the board?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Gracie. On the motion, any questions? Okay, we have Mr. Tattlebaum,
Yes.
Mr. Herron,
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson,
Yes.
Mr. Gracie,
Yes.
and the chair votes in favor. All right, congratulations, Mr. Burns. Oh, sadly, we have notice of resignation from Richard Golan from the Conservation Commission. I know Mr. Golan has served a long time on Concom, and his expertise will be sorely missed. I would like a letter of thanks to be sent to him on behalf of the entire board. And we wish him well in his non-governmental service retirement. And let's get this posted up as soon as possible. All right, next item. Oh, fun stuff. With the moderator. And that's our moderator available for the town meeting format discussion. Hi, Madam Moderator.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. I am here, and at the end of our last town meeting, I didn't think I was going to be before you again, making a request to have our fall town meeting virtual, but I think that the circumstances that we find ourselves with the Delta variant and the rate of infection in town and the relatively low vaccination rates within the county and the town of Dartmouth warrant this request. I'm making this request after consulting with our local expert, Mr. Michaud, who's the director of our public health director. And he and I spoke about whether or not it made sense to have an in-person town meeting. I know that many in our community would like to return to in-person town meetings. However, Mr. Michaud has highlighted the relatively high rate of infection, significantly higher than the last time we had a town meeting. And I think that particularly in support of keeping our schools open and the town's children in school, it makes sense to continue our town meeting in a virtual format.
Well, I think we did such a bang-up job the last time, and actually had more participation. I think it makes sense under these circumstances. I do know there are a few people who have reached out to me and asked me whether or not we were going to do it. And the first question I asked them was, what's your preference? And I would say 90% of them said virtual. So
Well, that's good to hear. And since you've highlighted the success of the virtual town meeting, I do really want to point to the fact that we could not have done that without the team at DCTV. Mr. Chase has been integral to that, as has his team. So they continue to enable us to have our legislature meet virtually and in a way that I think has been reasonably successful under the circumstances. So I'm asking that you all, that the board consider approving a virtual town meeting again.
So if I can just add, so what, there's still the formality that there needs to be a letter from the moderator and a motion by the board that the purpose of this was just to decide if this is something to pursue for remote, and then for the next meeting, we'll have the letter drafted that the board can vote on and make the motion, and we send that up to the Secretary of State's office.
Anthony? Yeah, that's correct. And the Chapter 92 of the Acts of 2020 authorized this. There was set forth a very specific procedure to follow. That initially expired upon the end of the declaration of emergency, but in June of 2021, the legislature extended that, amended that statute by extending the deadline through December 15th, 2021. But we still have to follow the same procedures set forth in Section 8 of Section 92 of the Acts of 2020.
And I'll be happy to provide the letter. It will look similar to what I provided in the past.
Right, so you'll provide the letter, select board votes within 10 days after the letter. Okay.
Our next meeting is the 27th.
Correct. Mr. Tattlebaum?
I've always been in favor of getting back as fast as we can, but all I have to hear about Mr. Michaud's opinion, he's drawn us through these 2 years as well as anyone could have, and if he says no, then I say no.
Yep.
Virtual.
Yep, I think we're gonna start passing out bumper stickers in town saying, "I trust Chris."
Yep.
Oh,
Amen.
we can't go that far.
Yes, we can.
I'll buy one.
Motion
All right.
to motion.
There's no
I guess
motion.
We don't need
No
to.
motion. This was just a discussion as to what's going
Correct,
on.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
we can't do anything until we receive a letter
Till-
from the moderator.
And then the next
requesting a
meeting.
Virtual meeting for the October town meeting. So once that
Great.
happens, we will take care of it on the 27th. If we need to, if the letter comes in quick, and if we need to, because it's 10 days, statute says 10 days. If we get that letter faster than the 27th, then we can just do a very quick meeting, post meeting to take care of that, to get the ball rolling and get everything, all the machinations needed to deal with it. So you can time it so the letter's there just 10 days or less prior to the next meeting, right, Melissa?
Yes, absolutely. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to work hand in hand with the select board to keep our community safe and not trying to create any extra
Friday.
meetings. So yeah,
Friday.
exactly.
Friday.
Friday.
Okay, thank you.
She missed it.
I didn't miss it.
I'm
No, I got
kidding.
it.
I'm kidding.
We have a sharp moderator, that's for sure.
So thank you very much. Thanks for your kind words, and thank you for giving me some time on your agenda this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Good night.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, Melissa.
All right, next item on the agenda, we have the ambulance contract. Mr. McGinnis.
Yes, so the current contract we have with Stat Ambulance Services is set to expire on September 30th of this year. The current 5-year contract was originally awarded in 2001. It's been extended in 5-year intervals since then. As far as procurement goes, ambulance services are exempt under Mass General Law, Chapter 30B. So the board can procure the services as they see fit. I submitted a memo in the packet, which gives the board 3 options. The first is to issue a formal public request for proposal for ambulance services open to the general public. The second is to extend the existing Stat Ambulance Services contract as is for another 5-year term with Stat. And the third is to renegotiate the existing ambulance services contract with Stat Ambulance Services to maintain the existing company, but enhance services and compensation to the town.
Okay. Board members, discussion.
Well, I've got a couple of things. I think we all got that in our packet, but significant about what Stat has done for the town of Dartmouth since the beginning. But I'm not going to read each letter because you've already read it, I'm sure. But Chris Michaud, 100% in favor of extending or keeping Stat ambulance. Tim Lancaster, same. Chief of Police, same. All glowing remarks about how well this organization runs. Thank you, Ms. Mansfield, and your crew. I remember when I first got on the board, the very first couple of meetings, we announced that we had negotiated a contract with an ambulance service, and that we would no longer, as a town, be paying for services, but the ambulance service would be paying the town, and that was through our town administrator, Mr. Cressman, and the board at the time. And I must say, from that point up until today, I've never heard any negative issues. They've been cooperative to everybody and all the various parks and this and that, and it says it all. The three letters says it all. That's 90% of what we hear from today. So I suggest that I'm sure we would like to hear from somebody else, but you know where I'm at. They really know what they're doing. They've satisfied the town's needs over and over and over again.
Any other members, Mr. Herron?
Yes. Several months ago, I approached several other ambulance services in town. And that was several months ago. And I asked them to get in contact with Mr. McGinnis. I did not personally talk to them. They would like the opportunity to come before this board to explain what they have to offer for the town. I've also reviewed a couple of contracts that other companies have given other towns, and there are things there that we could benefit from. There's training for police and fire, for public, free defibrillators, and there's a lot of other things that we should investigate. But more importantly, we should not be just renewing a contract. We didn't talk about response times. Are there any complaints we should look at? Should we have a fourth ambulance in this town? I looked out the window at my house one night, and the ambulance was servicing my neighbor from Westport. It takes a long time for an ambulance to get here from Westport. I'm not saying anyone did anything wrong. I know they didn't do anything wrong, but there could be a need for a fourth ambulance during peak hours, and we should investigate that before we go any further than giving a contract. I believe if we just give a contract without looking into these things, we'd be negligent. We have to get what's best for the town, and that's our goal, what's best for the town. So we should interview everyone who's willing to offer the service to the town.
Okay. Anyone else, Mr. Gracie?
Yeah, I agree with what John said. It's just good business to touch all the bases. I personally have no knowledge of bad performance from Stat, but if nobody says anything we like, I mean, we can rehire Stat. I'm not proposing we don't. But again, I think it's good business to listen to everybody.
Mr. Tattlebaum, do you have any?
Well, I've also obviously read all the letters from the people who know the system best, and as someone who's always concerned about cost and performance, here we have been told the performance is great, but on the other hand, I would like, if nothing else, to hear a presentation by the Stat management as to what they did, what they can do, what maybe they would consider doing in addition. I hate to, on the other hand, I think it's you have a system that's working and with people who have done this for a long time without in-house people who love what they do. So I think I'm not sure I want to go shopping around because I don't want to compromise the service. But on the other hand, I think I would like to hear a presentation from Stat about maybe what they would consider in addition to services, or maybe some additional costs or whatever. But I had a long conversation with Mr. Michaud about it and what they did during the COVID crisis, and over and above they did. Those are things that you cannot put a number on, but I do think we should speak with them first before we make a final decision. Thank you.
Can I, excuse me, Sean?
Go ahead.
Can we hear from Mr. McGinnis, if you don't mind? Get your views on this, please.
Go ahead, Mr. McGinnis.
Yeah, so I think, and I agree with what everybody is saying here, to Mr. Herron's point. I think, I laid out three options for the board. One was the open procurement. One was just extend the existing contract. The third option, I think, is in light of the work Stat's done in town for a number of years and their involvement in town and their praise from department heads. We would look at existing contracts from other communities, look at services that we would like to see enhanced in the town of Dartmouth, and negotiate with Stat directly on a new contract with these service enhancements. So I think that's a viable option. It allows the town to negotiate with the existing service provider, who's been well received in town and has done a very good job in the many years that they've been here. But it also gives us the opportunity to have a contract in place that's similar to other communities in the way they're serviced. One thing, Mr. Talbot, you mentioned Stat, I'm sure would be happy to come in to talk about the services they provide, but we could not in public session negotiate terms of the contract with them. So we'd have to do that. But I'm sure they'd be happy to come in just to update the board on their services they provided in the last contract.
Thank you, Sean.
Mr. Herron?
Yes, since the other providers in town, they pay taxes in town, those other providers, and they reached out to the town well over a month, possibly 3 months ago. I think they deserve the courtesy to come before the board and explain what they could do also for the town. And once again, I have no problem with Stat. I just want the best deal for the town.
Let's bring in Stat the next meeting and have them go over what they go over their 5-year plan from when is this contract up?
September 30th.
Okay. So their 5-year plan going into October 1st for 5 years. And let's hear what they have to say.
Okay. All right. Hold on, Chris. Let me just say, let me have my couple minutes here. I agree with Mr. Herron that we should definitely review the contract. I don't necessarily agree going out for an RFP. Sometimes quality is needed over quantity. I do know that a good number of the Stat staff are local, live in town, know the town. But I do agree that extending an existing contract is something that we should not do. I'm in favor of looking to extend the contract with the enhancements like a fourth ambulance. I think the town has grown to a point where a fourth ambulance is needed. I do agree with the training that professional paramedics can do for our first responders that are town controlled and also district controlled. I have yet to been called regarding the service, but I can tell you this right now, guys. Without the 2 paramedics on June 8th last year responding to my house, my wife would not be alive. And I know that's going to say that's going to cloud my judgment a little bit, but yes, they did. Without their services, without their quick response, my wife would not be alive today. And I am forever grateful for that. But that being said, I still want the best for this town. And personally, I think we should renegotiate the services with Stat. and keep stat, but with the enhanced services in several areas. So that's my my take. Mr. Michaud.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So I would just like to take this opportunity to discuss a service by stat that we typically don't think of when we think of public safety. And it's something I've had the privilege of knowing and seeing since 2009. So while some things that I've heard tonight, I've heard about AEDs, CPR training, and those are things that, interestingly enough, while I've spent so much time with the management and people at STAT over the last, I don't know, year and a half, almost on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis, we've talked about, they've serviced the AED at the town hall. When I reminded them about a bill at the end of the year to come, they said, don't worry about it. So anyhow, what I'd like to really talk about, and this is just my opportunity here, just to say thank you, STAT. Thank you, Ryan Cabral. Thank you, Ryan Snell. Thank you to all the EMTs and paramedics at STAT Ambulance for the awesome work that you've done for Dartmouth since March of 2020. That was not public safety, but public health emergency response. I've been really awestruck at what they've done for our community. First, in 2009, I had the privilege of watching them at our H1N1 clinic at the Dartmouth High School. Clinics, actually. I believe that was the first time EMTs were allowed to administer vaccines, and they were there. Following that, I know that they did some AED CPR training for town hall personnel. About 11 years later, here we go, another issue. But between those two issues, we had a close call that luckily never landed here in Massachusetts, but we met in 2014 to discuss and prepare for the Ebola crisis that seemed to be creeping into our state and was quite concerning. Following that, 2020, we had the COVID-19 pandemic. Starting in March and through today, I'm constantly in communication with someone from STAT Ambulance about what we can do better in our community and what else we can do. We talk about all sorts of things that are not public safety in the public safety world, but in the emergency response world. The actions of STAT Ambulance, most notably in one instance in April, were nothing short of heroic. When we were suffering an extreme shortage of PPE in the United States, in the world, and STAT Ambulance, through Ryan Cabral, dipped into their own personal PPE supply and delivered it to congregate living facilities that were suffering outbreaks. And they did so without charging anybody. That was their own supply that they delivered, and they did it again. They've been part of our planning for a lot of our responses. They've gone into homes. They've worked with our residents at targeted clinics within some of the clinics that weren't at the Dartmouth High School. It was amazing to see how they knew the residents and their needs. And they also had the opportunity to learn our residents' needs that they hadn't encountered that were shut-ins. So I just want to take this time, and I'll just keep it brief. Thank you to all of the people at STAT Ambulance for giving up so much time, picking up the phone anytime I called to, because they realize, hey, Chris is calling, Dartmouth needs something in response to the pandemic. This wasn't something that they needed to do. They could have stonewalled me and said the contract says this, but what I learned is that they're Dartmouth and they're here to serve the people. So kudos to the Ryans and all the EMTs and paramedics, and to the owner of STAT Ambulance for giving them that flexibility. Job well done for town of Dartmouth. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Michaud.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, so what would the board like to do? Mr. Tattlebaum?
I just would, I think that they had a contract, and it sounds like they've gone over and above the contract, and given the opportunity for a new contract, they'll do the same and step it up and volunteer. And if that's not the case, which I don't think it will be, I don't know the owner, I don't know the staff, I just go by the experts, what they're telling me. I would recommend that and I understand, John, there's limitations because of negotiation, but I would like them to come prepared with their recommendations about what they could add to the contract and services, or a general thing, but maybe we have to then go into private session. And I would ask Mr. Herron, if you have these kinds of things that are being offered around the area, that you come prepared to say, can you include this or that, because it should be part of the service. And let's see what they say. There's something that they've done for us these years. It's special, and there's no need for a few $1,000s, if it might be, to jump and give them the opportunity to say, here's what we can do for you.
So, all right, I'm just trying to figure out where we can go with this, because, I mean, we can have them come before us, but if they lay out what they can do, I think that's almost like negotiating.
It is. They can't.
We have to be very careful with that. So I think at this point in time, we have three choices that Mr. McGinnis laid out. And if we can have a motion to do one of three things, either issue an RFP or extend the existing contract another 5 years, or renegotiate the existing services with Stat Ambulance to maintain their company, but also to enhance the services and compensation to the town.
And that would be under executive session?
Yes. So what does the board want to do?
Let's bring them in executive session and go over it.
Soon as possible.
So, all right. So you're looking to renegotiate the existing ambulance service contract with Stat Ambulance?
Yes.
So is that a motion?
Okay, I'm going to make the motion.
Thank you.
All right, I'm sorry. I know time is of the essence on this because of the contract.
Not the time of the essence. It's just
No, the contract,
so that we can move forward.
So I would like to make a motion that we renegotiate a new 5-year contract with Stat Ambulance with any new suggestions they might bring before us, and with also maybe some suggestions from the board for their acceptance.
All right, before I ask for a second on that, Mr. McGinnis, your third option is that to extend it also another 3 years, or is this an entirely new contract?
No, this would be an enhancement to the existing contract with modifications and service enhancements.
All right. So Mr. Mickelson's motion for 5-year extension with the enhancements fits.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
All right. Mr. Talbot, second. Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Talbot. Anthony.
I just want to make it clear, you're not approving the 5-year extension right now, because otherwise you're giving them carte blanche to write it any way they want.
No, that's not my intention.
No, the intent is to bring them in to discuss.
I'd like a question on this, if I may. We're going to bring them in and we're going to ask for stuff, and they're going to ask for stuff, and we can always say, this is not for us, and send out an RFP after that as well. Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay.
If I can just add, so if the board is leaning towards the option 3, which would be to kind of renegotiate the existing contract, what we would do is, acquire contracts from surrounding communities and comparable communities, compare those services that are offered, ask around to departments and other users of the ambulance in town to see what's worked well, what they need, what they would like to improve on. We would put that information together to present to this board. And then if this board is amenable to those changes, we would bring in Stat in executive session to negotiate.
Obviously, can we get that done by the 30th? If we don't, we just extend their existing contract.
The existing contract just extends as is. So we wouldn't be able to get it done by the end of the month. But
no, I understand. So as is until a new contract, or they're
right. They're here until a successor contract or extension is made.
Okay.
So the 27th will be a good date.
Probably. I don't think we can pull together all that information.
No. On the motion,
but definitely in October we could have it.
All right. On the motion, any further questions?
So there's no need to rush. Excuse me.
Go ahead.
There's no need to rush because they can extend into October.
Correct. The contract extends as is monthly.
Okay.
Yes.
Because my attitude is that you have to assemble a lot of information. We want to be well equipped for it. And then we also want to be in a position to say, no, we don't like the whole thing and start at the RFP all over again, which could take us into November.
Correct.
It'll probably be a little bit longer than that. We will not
Right.
be losing ambulance services in this town.
No.
Okay? All right.
What's that, John?
We will not be losing ambulance
No,
services in this town. So,
Okay, so that's the clarification. And the reason why we can't just have them over here is because we're restricted by negotiating contracts. So this is what gets us by executive session. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Mr. Herron.
I'm going to vote no on it because the other taxpayers, providers in town did reach out to us early enough. We dropped the ball. They should have been allowed to come before the board.
Well, I don't consider this dropping the ball. So
By any means, not at all.
Not at all. We have a service that's available. We have a service that's reliable, and
we can always say no.
Yeah, we can always say no after negotiations and go out to bid. So this is just
We're talking about this a couple of days before the 31st. So I consider that dropping the ball. We should have talked about this like 2 months ago.
Well,
3 months ago.
First of all, there's no 31st in the month of September. It's the 30th. So, and it
30th.
doesn't, the successor contract continues as it is. So there's no ambulance contract services provided currently by STAT provided to the town that's going to be dropped. That will remain the same. So this isn't the first time that the services have gone close to the end of the contract. So I think it's, no, there's no dropping of the ball. So
I also
on the motion, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote. Mr. Tattlebaum.
Yes.
Mr. Herron.
No.
Mr. Gracie.
I'll say maybe, but I think what we're talking about, I think is the minimum we should do, but I really wish we were doing more. I will say yes, but with reservations.
Okay.
You can't, you don't know, we're not going to be able to compare it against. So,
there will be, all right. Mr. McGinnis, and I'm sure Mr. Herron will provide what he has as far as what other communities have for ambulance services. We will have that given to us as to what is currently being provided, what can be provided, and what should be provided, and what we'll be looking for. So we will have a list of things to look at to see what can be done. So we will have that. So I understand your reservations, but I appreciate your yes vote. Mr. Mickelson.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate it also. My vote is yes.
And the chair votes yes. So, Mr. McGinnis, if you'll start gathering the information, I'm sure Mr. Haddad will be more than happy to assist you. I can see him already nodding yes. Mr. Herron, any information that you have, if you can provide the staff with, be greatly appreciated. Okay, I'll take care of that. Let's see. Next item is the Eversource Energy Efficiency Initiative. I believe this is going to be Mr. Haddad's wheelhouse.
Yes, good evening. So several weeks back, Eversource had approached the town about conducting some energy efficiency assessments to small businesses along Route 6 and off of Route 6. So they'll be conducting these assessments this week. It's no cost to business owners. And then through that, they can potentially get up to 100% of the cost of some upgrades. But Michael Duffy and Matt Ferguson are here from Eversource, and they can elaborate on the program a bit more.
Well, I figured Matt Ferguson was here because all of a sudden he shows up on the screen. So I figured he's with Eversource. So Mr. Duffy, we just have his canned photo. But now we have a voice.
I appreciate
Go ahead,
everyone
Mr. Ferguson.
having us on here tonight. Yep, just was saying thank you for having us on. So just to give some quick background on the Main Streets program, it's pretty much Eversource's premier small business energy efficiency campaign in Massachusetts. Each summer we visit several cities and towns throughout the state with our approved energy efficiency experts. And the goal of this campaign is to help small businesses in the community, scheduling no cost, no obligation energy assessments, and to answer questions business owners have about energy efficiency upgrades and what that might mean for their business. So a team from Eversource and Complete Energy Services will be in the area this week doing spot checks and canvassing to local businesses in Dartmouth.
Okay, terrific. So any business can contact you guys and ask for them to come in and take a look at what they need, and the possibility of any of the improvements being 100% taken care of, correct? Okay, I get a nod from Cody.
Yep, in most situations, those measures would be 100%.
Okay. I know I've done that in my buildings years ago with RI Safe and also with Mass Safe, and we've had some significant changes made to the buildings, and it's really helped. So we appreciate that. So I don't know how we can get this out to the business people, but let's see if we can get this out so that they can get involved.
Perfect.
Great. Mr. Tattlebaum.
I just might add, I know I've done improvements over the years, especially in lighting and installation, and that the lighting program that we did was a giant success over the years. And I would encourage people to look at it, all these things, because it works, it's there, and the rebates and stuff are available. It's really a wonderful program. Take advantage of it.
Okay, great. Mr. Mickelson.
And not only on the commercial side, but on the residential side also.
Sure.
So, obviously, I must say that you should take advantage of anything and everything. As David said, rebates are large, very, very large. In some cases, because we sell the equipment in my business, in some cases, the rebates are so high that the rebate pays for the particular unit, and all you'll be paying for would be installation. It's that good a program. And then you're also looking at 85 to 95 percentile efficiency production out of these units, which will save you money the first time you turn them on.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, anything else on this? Mr. Ferguson, Mr. Duffy?
Yep, in the chat, I put a link to sign up for businesses. And I believe Cody has that as well.
Okay, and we can get that on our website and social media platforms.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having us.
Director, thank you. All right, while we're speaking with electricity, just wanted to let you know that there was an accident on Tucker Road which knocked out the power, but there was a street light that was also taken down, and we need to get that street light back up again. So if
we contacted the vendor today.
Okay, good.
Our lighting vendor, they're going to go out and fix it.
Okay, terrific. Okay, because a couple of residents have reached out to me and asked me about getting that replaced because it is a important area to light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Drinking water notification letter. I believe Mr. Barber and Mr. Sullivan are here for this. Hi, Tim.
Yes, hello.
Steve.
Good evening.
Okay, what do you got?
So we have actually two notices. We had total coliform and E. coli positive samples and of multiple wells, and attributed to the amount of rain from Ida. We shut down wells and tested our distribution system, and we didn't have any results there. We did have a positive in one of our tanks in the Crossroad tank. It was a total coliform, but it was not E. coli, it was E. coli negative. So we've been working closely with DEP, and the tank is clean, the distribution is clean, and the wells are currently shut down. They've been chlorinated and flushed, and we're working with DEP to move forward.
Okay, let me preface something here. One of the things regarding the notice on the E. coli, and I know there's a form letter that has to go out, but there was some confusion, rightfully so or unrightfully so, done by people over social media regarding that letter. And I think a lot of it has to do with the newspaper article that came out on it. People started posting the newspaper letter, but didn't read the article, didn't read the letter, and then all of a sudden, you know, the whole system is tainted. If you had read the letter, the wells were shut down. Any post-treated water coming from that well did not have the E. coli. And it was the raw water prior to being treated that had the E. coli. There were several people who responded and said, you know, hey, read, this is what it says. Still, the majority of people are ready to go with just what the quick blurb is and whatnot. So we need to maybe kind of re-grammatize our letters so that there's a little clearer understanding as to what is going on or what happened and what needs to be transpired. And that's only just a suggestion from me, from somebody who sees a lot of social media posts. So maybe that's something that the staff and the DPW can work on and figure something out. What I also would like to do, and I know we're going to be talking about the HAA5 problem, but I think, and I know we had issues on Reed Road with the trichloramine. That was the last letter. But I think at some point in time, we need to show what these tests have been over a period of time. So that if we are shrinking the amounts to meet the requirements of the EPA, then let's show it, you know, that the test on December 2015, this is what it was, these were the locations, this is what it is now, you know, and going through so that there's a progression, because really the public sees a letter and then all of a sudden it's the entire system that's a problem and not just a portion of the system. And I think that's where we need to do a better job in communicating to the public as to where it is and how it is and what's going on. Now, I don't know, I do know that there was a request to extend the water main into a new neighborhood off of Reed Road.
Correct.
And to me, when people are asking for town water, that's telling me something about the system. It gives me a good feeling about it. And plus the fact that, you know, the Reed Road system was, I'll be honest with you, was kind of overbuilt for something that, you know, never really happened. And now we're going to have more users. That means more flow. There's the possibility that the trichloramine problem will be hopefully non-existent during the next testing round. So, or meet the standards. So that's, so I think that's something that we need to focus on.
Absolutely. So I know most of the time DEP has pre-formatted letters that they require go out. Maybe behind that we can put something out that's a little, I guess, a little less technical for the residents.
And I think what's also important too is that you know, instead of just doing a press release to the media, that you actually bring the media in and explain it to them so that they at least put some context behind their story. You know, because and I'm not saying, you know, I'm not saying it's lazy reporting or anything like that, but it's easy reporting when you have a press release and you just put it up and then that's it. That's all you really need to do. But there's got to be some context behind it. There's got to be something behind it to explain it better to people. I mean, even I mean, I've been dealing with this for, almost 12 years, and there's still some things that, I look at and go, okay, what does this mean? Type of thing. So, but eventually I get the answers. So, maybe that's something that we need to, definitely take a look at. And I'm sure, between, Sean, Cody, Steven, and Tim, you guys can, figure that out. That's for sure. Maybe even get the Board of Health involved too. So, Mr. Mickelson.
My question, so the letters go out from the water department, is that it?
That is correct.
Okay, and through the DPW.
Yes.
So why don't we have a more concise letter go out with the one that we by law have to publish, and have that go on the website of the town website?
Yeah.
So in other words, to ease, not to ease people's feelings about what they're reading, to explain it in layman's terms, so they truly understand that there's E. coli here, but every ounce of water that's in Dartmouth is not contaminated. And go over the fact that this is how it is. This is how we arrived at this point, and just bring it into an explanation where little old Granny's going to understand it, and Stanley will understand it, and Dave's going to understand it. But the way you guys put it out, to be honest with you, it does nothing but harbor, discontent, basically.
I would say concern versus discontent. So
yeah, unfortunately, we're required by DEP to put out these letters, and they have boilerplate. That's what we fill in the blanks. That's what they want. The way it's highlighted, italicized is their doing. I can't change that. The only thing I can change with these things is probably at the bottom where it says what happened, what is being done. I can add a lot to that. And if it has to be more than one page, then it has to be more than one page. I have no problem with that. But I find people don't get through to halfway through the letter or whatever, and they're panicking no matter what, because they see E. coli. And I got like 14 calls from private wells, people that own private wells in town, to find out if their water was contaminated with E. coli. And I'm like, they didn't even test their own wells. So
Well, that's my whole point, Steve. You need to put a letter out and say XYZ. This well 1, 2, and 3 could be part of this, but all the other wells in town are not in violation.
Right. Well,
but Steve, you don't do that. So everybody's confused, and they're trying to they evaluate what they saw in 2 sentences.
Yep.
So let's calm them down and tell them the truth, but in layman's terms.
Yep.
I don't want to. Okay, I don't want to say tell them the truth. I want to say give them the facts as they are.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Layman's terms. It's not like we're. I don't want to say that we're hiding anything.
We're not.
The facts where we are, but where the facts are understandable, so that everybody. So that you can give them all the information you want. You can't make them read it. And if people are going to stop after 2 or 3 sentences, then that's on them. That's not on us. But we got to give them the information as much as possible. Mr. Harron.
If we have another significant rain event in the future, will there be another possible seepage of E. coli into the well?
Right now, the wells are off until further notice. We're having a meeting with our engineering firm on Thursday to discuss the future of those wells and how we're going to treat them. We may have to do a treatment process to put those wells back online.
But will that firm answer that question? Yes, this could happen again.
It can happen again. And full log inactivation is the way to go. So we're going to have to do something to improve our system post treatment to have full log inactivation of bacteria. So,
do we have enough money in the budget to cover that new treatment?
That's going to be discussed at the meeting. It's not in my operation budget. That's for sure.
Okay. Mr. Talabon.
I need to take a much different tack here. This is the third discussion we've had about notification of something as important as water. It affects every citizen every day. And I think that we need to change how we notify people. I got great respect for Tim and Steve. They're scientists, they're engineers. They have to follow the rules of the DEP. And that document is as scary to the average person as any given. And that's why social media takes off with it, because you read that halfway through or whatever, and all you think is bad. We don't have a bad system. We have some issues. And I would say to you that it's about time that we treat people with the respect that they deserve and our residents. And what that means is you can produce that DEP document, you can satisfy the law, but I think that our town administrator and anybody he designates should be putting out a sensible, short, brief, timely, ahead of it, factual, well-distributed document that tells us what it is. There's 3 wells out there. I don't even know where those wells are. I don't know what water it affects. I don't know what I'm talking about. But there's people out there who they are frustrated and they're afraid. And we need to change the way we notify the public. Whether it be news conferences, it's not just enough to put it on the website. People deserve better, and we can do better. It's about time we face that issue. Water's every single day. They're using water all the time, and now they're scared. I'm getting calls all the time. Should I be drinking my water? I don't know.
This is not just affecting Dartmouth. This goes on other cities and towns.
No problem. I don't care about other towns, Steve.
I understand, but this document has to be out within 24 hours.
Okay.
24 hours. That's all I had. By the time I was notified, I had to get this out by 2:00 the next afternoon. That was my requirement. I mean,
that means that we have an emergency procedure that says, let's get out one in English that people understand. It's that important.
Okay.
And I don't think we should settle for less. And I'm sorry to raise my voice, and I have great respect for what you guys do. But we stink in informing the public. They deserve better.
I agree.
And let's put it in the hands of people who can write something that translate it into something that means something that people can be informed in a timely way.
Okay. All right, so that's that was the well. Now we have the HAA5 issue. Is that new today?
That's new out in the press this morning. Went out on the town's website. This will be delivered because it's a violation. It has to be sent to every resident who has town water in town. And again, it's a boilerplate information. It's the problem up on Reed Road. I've this morning put our flushing unit out there. It's an automatic flushing unit. It'll flush for 12 hours. It's going to flush 7 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then once again at 4 o'clock until the 6 hours are exceeded. So that's what we can do right now is a quick to get the water moving up in that area where we sample and have the problem. It's all, once again, another phone call to one of our, one of our engineers that do our modeling of our system. We get a phone call into them to find out, we did that $1.7 million loop. If that is that water up there moving enough, and what are we going to do to make it work better? We follow the protocols for this. I mean, and we do everything possible to eliminate the problem. But when we sample, it's water temperature. It's how long the water's been sitting up there. We had a lot of rainfall this summer, so the water that's normally used for irrigation wasn't used. There's so many things that play into this, and Tim and I were discussing it this afternoon.
Okay, well, this would be a good time to break this down. So before this letter goes out, the violation letter goes out to everybody, let's run it by Cody and Sean. Let's see if we can get this an additional piece of paper. I know this will probably be one side, but you can put something on the front saying, for further information or for further understanding, please read the reverse. So let's see if we can do it this time around, okay?
Mhm.
Mr. Tattlebaum.
I'd like to hear from Sean McGinnis about what approach we could use, what's reasonable, and how we can do it in a timely way. Because I don't want to, my opinion, we shouldn't leave this meeting without a plan.
I think I just laid it out. I think the letter that we have in our packet is the letter that's going to go out, and they can take that letter and break it down on the other side in basically layman's terms, so that everybody has a clear understanding of what's going on. And I think that's what they're going to do.
And that letter is going to go out in the mail to every resident?
Has to.
Okay. So this particular.
It's going to go to every
user, excuse me.
Ratepayer, user.
Right, excuse me. So this particular incident, people are actually get something in the mail, where other times does somebody have feedback going on in some room someplace? Are you guys hearing feedback?
I hear you double time.
Yeah. Okay. This particular incident, people are going to get a direct mail, but it doesn't happen that way all the time. It's going to be or whatever, and I think a lot of people don't get informed. Can we do better?
A violation gets in the mail. A situation like the E. coli is a broadcast for all intents and purposes. It's a broadcast, not a mailing. Right.
And how effective is a broadcast? Or can we do more and have a plan so that when we need to tell people, here's how we do it?
Well, let's put it this way. It was pretty effective because I heard from a lot of people.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
My suggestion is looking into the future is maybe like the school has, and I've been looking into is like a reverse 911. It's called Code Red. It can go out to all the people and let them know that to look on the town's website, and we can put this information quickly, plain and simple to them, with the letter to follow. That's as required by DEP. So I'm looking into that. It's just, again, it's going to be, somebody's going to be in charge of it, and somebody's going to be able to prepare it. I mean, I need personnel to do that stuff.
Okay. And I think that's where our staff can come and help out.
Yep.
Something like this, if we need to do the reverse 911, just to inform people to look somewhere for information, then let's do it and get it done. Never mind all of it. Let's just do it. And I think we have our staff that can help you guys, especially the water department, in doing that. And I'm not going to take a motion. I'm not going to do anything. Let's just get it done that way, period.
I also think we should engage the DPW board to get involved in this part of the process, because it's a team effort, which includes everybody.
Absolutely.
And I think we ought to call on them to hear about what they're going to do and how they're going to do it, because things have got to change.
Okay. All right, let's move on. I'm going to say this is the Tucker Road alternate. Thank you, Steve. I know this is not your bailiwick. This is not your wheelhouse. I'm just going to preface this part of the meeting by saying this is absolutely, totally unacceptable. Nothing, absolutely nothing gets done. There is no changes that can be made that's going to stop people from blocking the intersection at Fonts Corner Road, Old Westport Road, Route 6. Not going to happen unless you get rid of the lights at Tucker Road and extend that light all the way to Hathaway Road, not allow left turns from Tucker Road westbound or left from Champion eastbound, Champion Terrace eastbound. Nothing's going to happen. It's still going to remain the same. And I don't care what the state says in regarding timing of the lights, timing schmiming. We've been trying to time those lights for the last 5 years and nothing has been done. It's ridiculous. It's abysmal. And I don't care whether or not the state is fighting about land taking and that. We need to get Chris Markey and Senator Montigny, get them to a meeting with us and tell them they have got to pull the guns on Mass DOT, because what they're proposing now is totally unacceptable. With that, Tim, would you like to talk about this?
So as you know, the Mass DOT took over the design and did not want to take on the cost of any of the right-of-way takings, either on Tucker Road or on State Road that would deal with the Tucker Road relocation. It's pretty expensive. There's a lot going on there, so they decided to cut the project down and limit it just to the right-of-way of Route 6 from Fons Connor Road to Hathaway Road. And they do plan to move the existing signals at Tucker Road easterly approximately 100 feet to give you more storage. That'll also give you the right to turn on right if you're heading southerly down Tucker Road. There will be no easterly travel from Champion Terrace, as you mentioned, Sean. The traffic will have to exit Champion Terrace and only head west, because the median will come up too far, because that intersection is currently offset. The adaptive signal controls that Mass DOT is pretty positive that it's really going to help a lot. I'm pretty skeptical that it's going to do as much as they say. I know it will help. It will help with the flow, because the signals on Route 6 will now communicate with the signals at Fons Connor. That being said, it's not adding a lot of storage, but it is adding some. And as you know, there'll be a second set of lights signals at Hathaway Road. And I think that's Mass DOT's main focus, is to make that intersection safer. But in this design, they're also implementing space for future modifications to these signals and to these intersections. So if we do push forward the relocation of Tucker Road, it will be able to tie into the signals into the intersection at Hathaway Road. And at that point, they would most likely remove the lights at Tucker Road.
Okay. Board members?
I don't know. We all go through it, especially you and I, Sean, on a daily basis. I do it 6 days a week, and it's the early morning. I go to work an hour earlier so I don't have to go through it. But coming home, it's horrible. There's no answer. You could have 4 cops at every corner. You could have cops on motorcycles. You can arrest. You can fine people $100 a car every time they do it. And you know what? 2 days later, we'll have the same problem.
2 days later, an hour later after they leave. I mean, I was through there today at 3 o'clock. Okay. And I counted. I was getting gas, and I counted 15 vehicles while I was pumping gas that could have been fined $100 a piece. If you're looking for a revenue source, there's one right there. I mean, but that shouldn't be law enforcement's job, is revenue enhancements. I mean, you can't, the worst part about it is you're dealing with the public, you're dealing with bad driving habits, plain and simple. You're dealing with people who want to get somewhere quickly and really don't care whether they block. And, when you see people blocking from Fons Connor Road onto Route 6, and you got people from Old Westport Road trying to get out, there's been some times when people have been yelling at these people, beeping the horns and whatnot, that, one day somebody's going to walk out and whack somebody, plain and simple. And I think we need, the state needs to see that. And I just have a feeling they have no idea. I don't care if maybe they should just change the signals so that you allow Old Westport Road out first and then Fons Connor Road. At least give those people a fighting chance to get out. But there
Mr. McDonald, I did express that that they go take a look at the signals and change the sequence, because if you let Old Westport Road head north prior to letting Fons Corner come out, it'd be a lot easier, because not as many people are heading east, they're heading north.
Right.
And that's the issue right there.
Right, and the only ones that are really gonna feel the effect of it are the people turning left onto Old Westport Road if they're blocking the, but at least, you know, if somebody's tail end or two tail ends is there, they can at least go around them a little bit better than the people in Old Westport Road. So I just don't see this plan doing what it's supposed to do. I really don't. And
State government at their best.
no, I don't know about state government, but you know, I think we really need to have a sit down with Representative Markey and Senator Montigny themselves to discuss this. Mr. Gracie.
Thanks. I find myself not sure what to complain about, because I know we got a lot of pieces of paper in the package, but they didn't tell me anything. And I'm an engineer, and then some of the engineering drawings I could look at and think I know what's going on, but I would have appreciated a piece of paper that says, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're not going to do, because we all know what the plan was. So it'd be nice to know what's not there anymore, and then what the result is. We could probably figure out the results, but I don't know what to complain about. Is there no plan now to change the direction of Tucker Road so it lines up with Hathaway Road? Is that not there anymore?
No.
It's correct. So the memo I drafted for the board explained the changes with the alternative design. I was under the assumption that you were familiar with the Tucker Road realignment plan, because that had been a design that had been discussed and in place for years, with the sticking point being the taking of the plaza at the Hathaway Road intersection 6. So that taking issue, or who was responsible for paying for the taking, was what stopped that project completely. So Mass Department of Transportation felt that they were not responsible to pay for that. Previously in the town felt that MassDOT had paid for those similar takings in the past. So there was a loggerhead. So neither was budging. MassDOT decided to have this alternative plan to put it in place to see if it worked. When we had a meeting with Representative Markey and Audra Riding from Senator Montigny's office, along with MassDOT and Tim Barber, we talked about going back to the original relocation design, and if we could revisit the taking. They said that if that were to be the case, this alternative design would be pushed back. Well, the design would be pushed back another 2 years. So as it is now, this alternative design is set to be scheduled to advertise for construction in 2023, which is 2 years away. As Tim said earlier, it doesn't preclude the town from moving forward with the Tucker Road realignment in the future. So, when you compare where things are at with MassDOT, they're trying to make some improvement to the intersection. Whether it's going to be effective or not is to be determined. They seem to think it is. So they are the professionals. I'm not sure it's going to completely alleviate the situation. I don't think anybody does, but that is the option they have in place that's set for construction in 2 years. So it's better something than nothing at all at this point. And then the town is certainly available to revisit the relocation of Tucker Road and finding funding to make that happen.
So in essence, they're telling us, this is the plan. You want your road plan, then it's going to be another 2 more years. So they're like telling us this is what it is. And I'd be honest with you, Frank, if you're looking for something to really complain about, take a look at the section where they have the Tucker Road alignment, and they have the barrier to supposedly stop people from Champion Terrace from going eastbound on 6. But you know something? There's an opening. When people see an opening, they're going to take it.
Right.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. I can tell you that right now. This is not going to fix that.
We're always, and this seems to always get the short end of the stick. Always.
Yeah,
Never fails. Never, ever fails.
But my problem is, I got dozens of paper, and I was asleep halfway through it because it wasn't really telling me what's really going on. So, and as somebody that lives on Tucker Road, I have to use that intersection a lot. There are some parts of the year I can't use that at all, specifically like things like Christmas. I can't use it all. I go all the way around to Chase Road and go wherever I'm going because it takes less time to try and get off Tucker Road and actually get someplace so I can be productive. So, but the problem is, you know, I had somebody that was connected to the plaza this weekend. It was before I saw any of this. And I assured him that the plan was still going ahead because I hadn't heard anything about it being canceled. I did hear about it being delayed a couple of times. And I understand the problem was the land takings. And it's state's project. So why they don't want to why they don't want to pay for the land is beyond me. But it's just really confusing to try and make sense out of those drawings. And as I said, I'm an engineer. If I'm having a problem with it, there's got to be lots of other people that are having problems with that too. So I don't know what the result is going to be. I don't know. You know, you talk about them actually impacting something. I'm not sure what they're going to impact. So I can't really comment on it without knowing. It's ridiculous.
Mr. Tattelbaum.
I'm kind of having a hard time discussing this roads when I think that we just got off a more important discussion about water and what to do about it. But it seems to me that Mass has now two plans. I think that we should meet with them, even if our board or our experts, and look at both plans and which one, in their opinion, is going to work better. I think we know which one it is. And why waste our time on the plan if that's the case, that this new one is going to be a joke? If it's the only other one is going to work, then we have to then do whatever we can to make that one happen. And if it's going to actually help us relieve Fons Corner intersection and also do what they do in New York, which is put up signs. If you violate the intersection, it's an X amount of fine, and just, I say post someone there and nail them all the time, because it's going to end up to be worse. So, but is that Tucker Road improvement going to really do a better job and improve the Fons Corner intersection? If that's the case, then we got to move on it because we owe it to our citizens to take whatever action it is, because it's only going to get worse.
Well, I guess at this point in time, we need to sit down and figure out where we want to go with this. I know we had a meeting with DOT on this, but you know, maybe the board needs to meet with somebody from DOT.
Sean McGinnis, do you think there's people at Mass DOT that we can meet with to give us the real analysis of both plans and how they're going to work?
That was the meeting we had with myself, Tim Barber, Representative Markey, and Audra Riding from Senator Martigny's office. Okay. And MassDOT is pretty adamant that this is their improvement to this area that they have planned now. And they were pretty forthcoming in saying if the town wants to do something different and pursue the Tucker Road relocation, the town certainly can do that, and their improvements allow for that. But the town has to pay for the taking of the plaza and for the construction of the Tucker Road.
My point is, are they saying it because they don't want to be involved in Tucker Road, so that's what there is, or is it one going to be better than the other?
No, I mean, basically, it came down to the taking and paying for the taking, and they're adamant that they say that plaza, the taking of that plaza, is on Tucker Road, which is a town road, even though it abuts 6.
No, I understand that, but
so they don't want to pay for it. So the town would have to pay for that entire taking, which would be in the millions of dollars, and then pay for the construction.
Are they going to tell us that the taking and the Tucker Road regroup is the best way to do it, regardless of the cost?
No.
Yeah, they would probably say that would alleviate most of the issue, but I wouldn't even say they would guarantee that it would alleviate the issue 100%. I think they're saying, working within the boundary of State Road, their alternative design, which has been presented, is where they think is going to have the most impact for, staying within the right of way of State Road.
How is this new plan going to impact? Again, I don't know, so that's why I'm asking. How is it going to impact one of the worst intersections in the state? I heard it being ranked as high as third. did worse intersection of state of trying to get off of Hathaway Road and get into the mix. I understand the problem with the traffic on Foster Road. I see that all the time. I also see the problem of people almost getting killed trying to get off Hathaway Road, especially in my case, I need to get across there so I can get on Tucker Road to go home.
Well, the plans show a traffic signal at Hathaway Road and State Road. So now there no longer be a free for all there. There'll be traffic signals to direct the traffic.
But that doesn't help Funds Corner and Route 6.
Well, they're thinking that if they time the signals, the new Hathaway Road signal, the relocated Tucker Road signal with the Fonts Corner signal, they think they can eliminate the issue of the backing up into the Fonts Corner intersection. That's what Mass Highway believes, and they have traffic engineers, so they.
Well, didn't they design that intersection already? And look what we got.
That's true too.
Well, there was some. Those were the old engineers. These are the new engineers.
Oh, right. That's the cousins. Get out of here.
Just out of curiosity, what was the initial cost of the land taking, the plaza and whatnot?
I'd have to look at that. The 2.5 million sticks in my head. And
you have the country club taking too.
And that was back in probably 18.
Right. In the year it's changed. Real estate's gone up quite a bit, so it would be significantly more than that.
And you have that property that on the country club owns. They're going to take some of that also. So that's that number.
I have a question. When we talked to the city of New Bedford, when they're going to put the industrial park, but near the golf course, there was an interest, and they said they would look into. Is that project still alive? And they were going to. Part of that project was to improve the Hathaway Road intersection area.
That's what they said. I don't know if it's still planned, but that's what they said.
Yeah,
it was planned. I'm not sure what they were talking about. I think this is part of those improvements. Mass Highways putting the signals in at Hathaway Road.
Are they involved in the industrial park as well? No. That's
I think. No, but I think that's why the intersection improvements at Hathaway Road are happening, to alleviate Fonts Corner, but also to help with the increased traffic from Hathaway Road in that industrial park that's planned.
Right. Is that still ongoing?
As far as I know, it is, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I just, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I have to see it to believe it, but something, my gut tells me it's not going to be the same. It's not going to, in fact, it's going to create more. I mean, you got people going across Dunkin' Donuts across where you're not supposed to go, because it's only supposed to be authorized vehicles only, but still wanting to take, to go westbound on Route 6, but now they have to go take a right, go to Hathaway Road, then pull a UE to go down. It's easier just to cut across the fire station and go that way. That's exactly what's going to happen at Champion Terrace. From people coming out, they're going to see that opening, and just like any good person, you see an opening, you take it, and that's exactly what's going to happen, and that's going to create more of a problems. I mean, you just spend 20 minutes on that road, and you can see people don't know how to drive. They don't know how to merge. They don't know how to let one side go and whatnot. You got people taking lefts that they're either blocking each other or they're going opposite each other. One's pulling way off to the left and the other one's still coming in, and it's just it's abysmal. It really is abysmal.
So, Sean, that cut through was supposed to be blocked off. That's not going to happen anymore. As you come off Tucker Road, that road was going to be blocked.
It was supposed to under the initial design, but I don't think that's possible because of the fire trucks.
It's not as well because the Tucker Road traffic is going to be able to still head west coming off the Tucker Road.
Right.
Without going to Hathaway Road intersection?
Correct.
Oh, that's not going to work.
So
where would they go?
No, I think what Frank was alluding to was that part of Route 6 from between Tucker Road and Hathaway Road that is like a cut through for emergency vehicles.
Right.
That's still going to be open.
Is that what you meant, Frank?
I don't know. The plan I saw said that was supposed to be blocked off all the way from Fons Connor Road to the new lights at Hathaway Road.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So the Tucker Road relocation plan included a barrier that went through across at the Tucker Road intersection, because that was only going to be a right turn only, or you could enter Tucker Road. With the relocation, they were taking those signals out completely at Tucker Road. There would be no signals, and there would only be signals at Hathaway Road, which was going to drastically improve the vehicle storage all the way to Hathaway Road. But there would be no cut through there. At the emergency vehicle, I think they have to keep that for the emergency vehicles.
Excuse me. So you're at the intersection of Tucker and Route 6, and you're heading north. There's not going to be a light, correct? You just said?
No. In the original plan with the relocation of Tucker Road, the lights were proposed to be removed completely.
Right. Yeah.
But now without relocating Tucker Road, you have to maintain those signals.
Yes,
they're going to take those existing signals and move them easterly along Route 6 about 100 feet.
Uh-huh.
To bring them up to Tucker Road, which brings the barrier further east, which supposedly is supposed to stop people from
I don't see how that works.
crossing the intersection from Champion Terrace.
I don't see how in the world that can work.
So instead of having one contiguous barrier from Fons Connor Road to the fire station, you're still now maintaining that opening, but that opening becomes less of an opening to stop the people maybe from Champion Terrace taking a left-hand turn.
Along with signals.
Yeah, with signals. Yeah, so as you can see, this is a cluster, you know what.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where we go with this next, guys. I really don't. Maybe.
What I propose is we push forward with a second plan to relocate Tucker Road with a PNF to Mass DOT to put that on the tip. The plans are already close to a 25% design for the Tucker Road relocation. And if we can push that project and start that ball rolling, maybe it can get in behind this other project a couple of years out.
Well, that's where we get our state legislators involved. They got to be involved with this, both of them.
That's like hooking up a horse to a carriage, but without the bridle, then all of a sudden you get the bridle, maybe a couple of months later. So it's just a half-assed way of doing things. It really is. Excuse my English. All right, let's see what we can do, and let's see if we can stay on top of this. And I don't know, maybe I can make a couple of phone calls and just rattle somebody's cages on this. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Tim. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. Next item is the review of the town meeting warrant articles. I apologize for the long time, guys, but we need to put the work in. It adds to your service hours.
Yeah.
All right. So
Stipend's going to be larger.
we have 11 articles. Article 1 is just a community preservation for that's the seawall. We had discussed that at the last meeting. This is the CPC funding for it for $35,900.
Mm-hmm.
The other Article 2 is just the appropriation from surplus revenue for community development activities. Article 3 is a transfer of X number of dollars to be determined to the STAB fund, which we do every year. Article 4 is the contract with the police body worn cameras. As we know that body cameras are an important for our officers and also for our citizens. We'll be voting these at another date once we have final figures.
This is just a review of the list of articles.
This is the transfer from the waterway. The Article 5 is a transfer of Waterways Management Enterprise Fund. This is for the matching of the grant for the Seaport Council for the proposed marina dockage at the Dyess Landing. Article 6 is the acceptance of the capital planning committee. We still need their recommendations, so we're not sure what those will be. Article 7, if the negotiations between the town and DTA settles, this will be here. If not, it'll be removed. Article 8 is to see if the town will vote to authorize the Parks and Rec to negotiate the terms of the soccer fields and for not more than 10 years in duration. But I'll be honest with you, I have a problem with this. My problem is that if we're looking to do longer terms from other places, this one should also be the same term. Everybody should be equal. Nobody should be 10 and not somebody else 30 and someone else this. Everybody should be equal. So if we're doing 30, they should be 30.
Yeah, they should at least have the option to do 30.
No, I don't, yeah, I was just gonna say.
Up to, I maybe put in up to.
Right.
Okay, I maybe that would actually not more than 30, and then give them the option if they want to do, 10s and 5s and whatever,
Yep.
It should be no less than 10 and no more than 30. So the next is the personal bylaw amendments to adjust the super beach and lifeguards, which the Parks and Recs had a problem in getting this year. So those were this time. Article 10 is the previously discussed floodplain overlay district. And then there's Article 11, which is a citizen's petition, John Herron and others regarding transfer of $100,000 from certified free cash to be used as the town's matching portion for grants. Now, let me just say this about that. I think this is a great idea. I think the town should have a pocketbook ready to go at any time needed for quick grants. But I think we can do it a little bit better by doing a stab fund for this, like whether or not that still needs town meeting approval, I'm not sure. But sometimes these matching grants need to be done quickly. So we need to find the correct mechanism in how to do this. I think the premise is good. I just think we need to do it a little bit better. John.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to take credit for this article, but the idea came to me from the town of Wareham, their chief financial officer, John Foster. They moved a similar article like this through town meeting, and they did it for just the reasons you want to say. Initially, if there's a chance we could miss out on an opportunity because we don't have a matching grant and we have to wait for town meeting, it'd be wrong. This is all this is just to put money aside. Once again, other towns do it. So this is the mechanism they use to do it, to get around it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think if a grant shows up that the town could really go into, but the matching has to be there first, this is the perfect vehicle for it. And I think we should always look at it to keep it plenished each year, to keep it at a certain level.
Also,
go ahead, Mr. Herron.
Okay. Also, there's steps to this. Initially, the grant would go through the select board. Then the select board there would have to be our chief financial officer would say, "Do we have the funds necessary?" Yes. Then Anthony Savastano would approve the legality of the grant, and then the town administrator would sign off. So there are steps and balances for us to go forward. There's going to be no rogue department going to take 40,000 and do what they want.
No, considering that it's going to be in the select board's control. So
yes,
yes. That Mr. Talabon.
Just a clarification. I think the concept sounds good, but it does take the decision-making process of this grant out of the hands of town meeting in the interest of expediting something quickly. Is this limited to matching funds or just that we can get back, or is this going to be any funds we have to spend to get a grant?
Well, right now it's set up to, it would be set up to be used as one time. For instance, this would have been used on our urban plan.
But it sounds like you can regularly use this to not only get through something quickly because you want to get advantage, but it also subverts the town meeting authority on any vote you take because you don't need it. So it's available anytime.
This would only apply to grants.
Right.
And, you know, and the obtaining of grants and having a matching, you know, any grant that has a matching component to it. So I think that,
are you including a limit on the amount can be for each one or?
No.
There really can't, I mean, if you put a limit on something and then all of a sudden, you know, if you put a limit, say 10,000, but then all of a sudden you have the ability to come up with, you know, a grant for $500,000, but the matching is 10%. Now that's 50. Now you're limited. You know, and
I understand.
have the possibility of losing out on that grant.
That's a lot of money to, and I understand the need to expedite quickly because you want to take advantage of it. But $50,000 to $100,000 to get a grant that's could be half worth is taking isn't that the basis of our town government? The town meeting says yes and town meeting says no.
I don't think town meeting would have a problem with the town receiving a grant for $500,000 if they have to fund it by, you know, a 10% match.
Well, what if it was 30% or 40%? And I'm asking the question.
That would be up to us to control that.
Okay, so my question is, I don't see any refinements on here. It's pretty open.
Yes.
Are there going to be any restrictions as part of this?
Well, I think part of the restrictions is whether or not the funds are available and certified by the town treasurer, and that the town attorney has to also okay it. So, Mr. Herron.
Mr. Chairman, right now, if a good grant came before us and it was time sensitive, you would probably make a request we use reserve funds and ask the finance department to release those funds for us to take advantage.
Correct.
I would
once again, we wouldn't go to town meeting for that.
Yeah, I would recommend. I believe you can create an account for matching funds. I believe outside of town meeting, but I think what's important is we might want to develop a policy on how the funds would be distributed. You know, what the priority would be, how they would be set aside. You know, there's a grant application process, and we don't always receive grants that we apply for. A lot of those grants have matching fund components, and if we allocate the funding for a grant we believe we're going to get, and another grant is not applied for because we think we've got the money allocated, it could get sticky. And we do apply for a lot of grants, and it's, you know, we like to know ahead of time that we're going to have the matching funds available. So we would have to develop some policy to make sure that it's being equitably distributed.
Well, I'm sure the town of Wareham has policies attached to there, so we can, you know, towns like to copy other town stuff. I mean, you know, there's a lot of towns in this Commonwealth that copy, you know, Dartmouth's conservation stuff, you know, and the town has also copied others. So, you know, I'm sure we can come up with something that'll be satisfactory to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see if we can work on that and maybe actually have that for town meeting to present to town meeting. That way, you know, that way everybody has it and knows it.
If this article is vague or close to vague like this, I think it will fail. I think if we have a well-defined program that doesn't super restrict us, but also has some limitations to it, I think it has a better chance to succeed.
Okay, you got to remember one thing though.
Yep.
Article 11 is a citizen's petition. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now it's up to us to try to work the machinations for the citizen's petition.
Yep.
To assist it. So.
It's up to the citizens petitioner to decide, but in my view, it needs a lot of more work to make sure it's well defined.
Okay. Well, we can work on that and get the details and get ready for town meeting and give it to town meeting that this is how it's going to work.
Think we have enough time to do that?
Article pass, and we can help.
We have enough time to do that?
I think there is. Especially, I mean, you know, you borrow from another community, take a look at it, and if it's in the town, then it's boilerplate. I mean, you know, everybody does it. You know, and I have the full confidence in the staff that they can come and do it and they can get this done. So let's get it done. All right, next item is the DYA and Burgo lease renewal preparations. Mr. McGinnis.
Okay, so the Burgo lease is currently is set to expire on December 31st of this year. So I just wanted to put this in front of the board. There's two leases that the select board oversees. It's the Burgo lease and also the Dartmouth Youth Activities Association, DYAA. That lease is up in 2024, so there's some time for that. But the Burgo lease, I know, was discussed at town meeting to go up to 30 years. I just wanted to get approval from the board to move forward with drafting a request for proposal with some of the criteria the board has identified they would like to see as part of the lease moving forward, and share that with the board at a future meeting to discuss and either add or remove some of the options that the town would like to see. So probably I would anticipate sometime late October to have the draft ready to review. It would be advertised in November and evaluated in December, right as the current lease is ending, and hope to be implemented in January.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Members? Okay, so we'll expect to see something in the future, relatively near future. Okay. All right, and since yep. Okay. Then at some point in time, we will need a future article to do the same for the DYA at the starting the closure. So we can do this as early as next year's town meeting or the town meeting in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Like I said, what one gets, they all get. So interfere. All right, that concludes new business, old business. Do we have, yes, update on the COVID on the start of the school year.
So in your packet, I just included some of the correspondence from the school to parents regarding the COVID protocols and the DESE test to stay program. It's a statewide program administered through the state, but it's been having some difficulties getting started. Generally, it allows children to test in the morning and it should have results within 15 minutes or a half hour. The application is not up and running proficiently yet. So when the school has an issue or a close contact, they need to send the children home for quarantining purposes. So they've provided a lot of information. I think you can see it. It's gone out in correspondence to be as detailed as possible. I think the school has made an excellent effort in trying to maintain classes and keep the students safe. But I just thought it was important to include that for the board so they're aware if they hear from parents about what is going on, and with quarantining, you can be up to date.
I've already had a couple calls regarding this, and I referred them to the school department. Told them basically, they're the ones you need to contact to get the correct information. So.
And their correspondence has been very thorough and accurate and easy to understand. So I think it's been informative for the public. But they're trying to get a lot of information out at once.
Well, there is a lot of information here that you sent.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to digest.
Unbelievable. When are we supposed to be meeting with the school department again?
The 27th, to go over some we have a joint meeting with the school committee, FinCom, and the select board on the 27th. Regularly is what we do in preparation for town meeting. The select board votes on the warrant. We talk about financial policies. There'll be a proposed update to the financial policies. So we'll talk about all that.
All right, can you just send a message to Dr. Gifford and just tell her that be prepared to give us kind of just a little quick as to how the schools are, how the school openings went, just something for the general, for us and for the general public.
Sure.
Okay. Bliss Connor, any news from Mass DEP?
No new update as of yet. We have our council that's been working with DEP and communicating with them.
Okay. Lake Nokichoke, anything from?
No new update there.
Okay. The only thing I have on Lake Nokichoke is that after Ida blew through, somebody lost chunks of land because they were floating in the middle of the lake. So there were some new islands in the middle of the lake. So I don't know what happened to them. Maybe they went over the falls, but I don't know. So, but couldn't claim any new land. So
Had to do with Fall River.
well, it probably ended up, if it fell over the falls, it ended up in Westport. So, all right, minutes. We have the minutes of August 23rd. Any questions on them?
I find the minutes fine. Motion to accept.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Herron. Thank you. And on the motion, any questions? Being none, Mr. Tattlebaum,
Yes.
Mr. Gracie,
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson,
Yes.
Mr. Herron.
Yes.
Chair votes in favor. All right, just to let you know, the last thing in our packet, we have a letter from Gary Carrero, the town collector, to the town business owners saying that effective September 15th, the town will be going from semi-annual water sewer billing cycle to quarterly, and that the commercial cycles at this time will be July, October, January, and April. We will be seeing the residents quarterly shortly thereafter, but right now they're phasing it in and doing the commercial customers first. So there's nothing that the business owners need to do. It'll be all up to the town collector to implement this. And to be honest with you, yay! I can't wait. So, and it'll be, you know, me, I prefer monthly, but I'll take going from twice a year to 4 times a year. And then maybe down the line, we can look at monthly billing once we get the cellular stuff going or the readings. So, do any of the board members have anything to bring up? Stanley?
Wait a minute, excuse me.
No, your hand was fine. I saw you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. We need to discuss in-person select board meetings again.
We do, but at this time, we're not.
We have to discuss it. At some point, we're gonna have to face it.
Well, we've already, until such a time that everybody's comfortable meeting in person, we will continue to do this the way it is. Right now, at least through the end of the month. We'll take a look at October as we go along. So.
I don't know how the other members feel.
Oh, I mean, let's put it this way. We know how we all felt because we discussed it already. But under the circumstances, the current circumstances, it is not wise to do.
Well, I don't want it to start on September 27th, but we need to have some kind of a plan moving forward, even if it's tentative.
Well, tentatively, I could say 2022. Tentatively. I mean, let's put it this way, Stan. Okay. We got 7 meetings to the end of the year, unless there's a emergency meeting somewhere, but there's at least 7 meetings. It may be a little bit more. I don't know right now. I think with everything going on I like to see the numbers start going down. I really do. I know everybody does. Everybody wants to see the numbers going down. Right now, I don't know if they're plateauing, but, Bristol County is one of the worst in the state of Massachusetts. And Dartmouth is located in Bristol County between 2 cities. So, there's issues.
Look, I'm the oldest member here, so I can view this as an elderly citizen, but I feel safe. I think we've all been vaccinated, and I just like to see people's faces. I want to see how they react. I want to shake somebody's hand. can't do that. You can't get a tone for people on Zoom. You really can't. You can see an expression in people's faces in person that you can't see in Zoom. So that's my opinion. And again, as the senior member here in age.
In age.
I think, yeah, I think when the indoor mask mandates go away, that's a perfect time to do it.
Right. I mean, as far as the way people, seeing how people react, we're right there. Everybody sees how all five of us react at the same time. You know, the only ones who get to see all five of us react are us. You know, because generally when the camera's on the speaker, you know, at town hall, it's generally on the speaker and not the remaining. So we're all live, no matter what we do, we're there. And I have gotten comments about, you know, the way people have reacted towards some of the comments being made. Some of them, most of them, to be honest with you, are generally nice. Few, not so nice. But then again, but that's the way it is. So I think I agree with Frank. Until the mask mandates subside, I think this is the way it's going to be.
Yeah, you can't see people's face with a mask on anyway.
Right. Mr. Talabon.
I understand the caution. The only thing is we have other committees that are meeting in town hall now. How many, Sean? Can you help us out on that?
Oh, I don't know the exact number.
I mean, is it a lot? I mean, how's it going?
It's 4 that I'm aware of.
Oh,
and the ZBA is, I know that.
ZBA is conservation, I believe, is park board is veterans advisory board is
no, if there's a caution with individuals on our board, that's one thing. But the other flips, and I appreciate that, and I don't want to force anybody to do anything. On the other hand, we're supposed to show some leadership here, and if we're not meeting publicly, then and others are, most of them are successfully, I think that's an issue. But if it's outright caution, you guys don't want to do it for health reasons, just say so. And you know, I don't want to push anybody in the direction they don't want to do it. But I think it's unfortunate that we're not meeting publicly when others are. Many others.
Well, we can't control what the park boards do. They're elected. ZBA, Concom, and the Veterans Advisory Boards are under our jurisdiction as appointments. So if
they've chosen,
they have to meet, if they have to meet, you know, Zoom wise, and that's what they do. I think the COVID team needs to discuss this and get back to us on what they feel. So that's the charge.
But that's a valid point. Well, so let's get that going.
Okay. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr.
Second.
Herron. That's the
3
way-
times he did it.
You know, everybody does that. It helps the.
I think you just woke up, John.
No,
I did.
He's been here. I'd see him. I've been watching him. I can see him. On the
Sean,
motion, yes.
Sean, just one quick thing. I just want to acknowledge our Veterans Advisory Board and the job they did to pull together. For a small town to have a ceremony that we did was very, very special, and they made it happen. And it was a moving and really valuable ceremony, and it was really a privilege to be part of it. And the Veterans Board made it happen, and everybody else fell into place. And it was a proud moment for all of us in the town. Thank you.
Yeah, they did a good job. Excellent.
And at least one more thing, I'm sorry. Let's not forget 9/11. Let's not let that happen at all. I suggest everybody, all thousands of people who are watching this late, the select board meeting, to gather their children and their grandchildren and their friends and tell them how important that date is, and to never, ever forget. Never forget all those people that gave their lives for this country.
Agreed.
Thank you.
On the motion, Mr. Tattelbaum,
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Gracie,
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson,
Yes.
Mr. Herron.
Yes.
Chair votes in favor. Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you. Nice job.
Night.